Manchester United back in the FA Cup action. Derby County up next from the Championship for Manchester United. Now, we cannot take this one lightly at all after that Bristol City game, that horrendous 2-1 defeat in the League Cup. This, probably most people would see, is more important than that League Cup game. It is a slightly more bigger competition, the FA Cup. I really do love the FA Cup. It's the oldest cup competition in the world, and I hope Manchester United can go all the way and win it at Wembley this year. It's our best chance now of silverware because we're out the title race and only have the Champions League other than that left to play for, and realistically that is probably not likely that Manchester United will be challenging to win that honour. So the FA Cup is Manchester United's realistic only chance of winning silverware. Can we win it? Yes, of course we can, but we could also get knocked out. Sometimes you get really bad draws, you get really bad luck. Anything can happen in the FA Cup. So we've got to make sure that this is not a banana skin. Now, we are at home in this one compared to the Bristol City game. We have drawn recently again in the Premier League at home. So Manchester United have got to take this seriously. I'm expecting Jose Mourinho to put out a fairly strong lineup for this one. He did rotate a bit in this competition last year. We saw some players giving their debuts. Pereira in goal. Joel Pereira got his debut last season. Axel Tuanzebe got minutes in this competition, and so did, I think, Scott McTominay got some minutes if I'm not mistaken. I know he did in the league anyway, but I know Axel did. So he gave some youngsters an opportunity last season in this competition. Took it a bit more lighter than the League Cup last season. He took that a bit more serious till we got to obviously Chelsea, and then he put a strong team out, but we got knocked out. We got a red card given against us and it got knocked out. But obviously you can get difficult games like that away from home in this competition, so it's going to be difficult. But these are no mugs. They're second at this present moment in the Championship, but home you should, the emphasis is on Manchester United to go out there and win this game. We're probably going to have to be patient in this game. Watch out for maybe potential counter-attacks. I haven't seen Derby play this season, so I don't know much about them and their team, but Manchester United are obviously going to make changes to the starting lineup. I would expect him to make a change in goal. Romero to come back in goal. No problem with that in goal, to be honest. The defence may well change. There is problems with injuries and obviously Ashley Young out as well, so he might not mix it up too much. He has got a lot of options at the back, so this is no excuse if Manchester United fuck up by a defensive horror show. He's got the options. He's got so many different players. Okay, some of them might not be good enough, but he has got generally a lot of options, and they're all international players pretty much in the ranks that Manchester United have got in defence. So he's probably, I'm hoping that he goes with Axel Tuanzebe in the right back position with Luke Shaw in the left back position. I don't want him to go too under strength in this game. Then it will be whoever he goes for in the centre of defence. If Smalling's back fit, I would expect it to be Smalling and maybe Lindelof in there. I don't want to see Darmian playing, and I don't really want to see Blind playing either. I would much prefer Axel Tuanzebe to get given a run out in this game. Both Blind and Darmian, let's face it, are most likely both going to be binned off in the summer. And I couldn't really give a shit if they do. So if they are getting binned off in the summer, there's no point in playing one of them over Luke Shaw or Axel Tuanzebe. But the only thing is he may choose to give Luke Shaw a rest because Ashley Young isn't going to be back for another game after this, which is the Stoke game. So, but Manchester United have ages before that Stoke game because it's not till the following Monday. So, got ages before that game. So players probably won't need much of a rest because they'll get it after this game. But he may choose to switch it up a bit anyway. Then in midfield, I'm not too sure if he's going to. I would probably go for a midfield three again. Pogba, because Pogba has missed a lot of the season, so I don't really see the point in resting Paul Pogba. Then I would go for Ander Herrera and Scott McTominay. I think Matic probably is best to give him a rest now. You could have him on the bench, but he's played a lot of football, so could well give him a rest. Now, further forward's going to be the key. Will Lukaku return for this game? I've got my doubts whether he will start the game. I would probably have him on the bench because you don't want him to get injured or anything concern over his injuries, head injury. For this game, we've got some tough games coming up and a busier period coming up after after the Stoke game, we've got the likes of Burnley and Tottenham, who are going to be difficult games. So, save Lukaku, have him on the bench. I would continue Anthony Martial up front. Scored a very good goal, obviously, against Everton, so I would keep him up front. Then we will just have to wait and see what other players he's going to choose. I think he might bring Marcus Rashford back in out on one side, and then it would be probably one matter, maybe Jesse Lingard out on the other hand side, but we will have to wait and see. Or if he doesn't play, whether he plays with a three-man midfield or not, I'm not too sure, but I think that is better for Manchester United. If he wants to put someone in that number 10 role, he could put Jesse Lingard in as well. I wouldn't expect, besides Axel Tuanzebe and obviously Scott McTominay and maybe Joel Pereira if he's on the substitutes bench, I wouldn't expect any other Manchester United youngsters to feature for this game. We're not going to probably see the likes of Callum Gribbin or Angel Gomez or anyone like that in this particular game. I don't think Mourinho's really got to take this competition seriously if he wants to win silverware this season. I think the best time to give a lot more youngsters a chance, besides the ones that have already featured for Manchester United more regularly, as in Axel Tuanzebe and Scott McTominay. Even Axel hasn't played a lot for Manchester United in the first team, but he's a lot more experienced than, obviously, Angel Gomez hasn't played hardly at all in the first team, and Callum Gribbin and players like that, and Demi Mitchell haven't really featured much at all. Only one game from Demi Mitchell. So I would wait till nearer sort of February, March, if the Champions League position is sewn up for Manchester United and we're still in the FA Cup and the Champions League. That's when I would rotate. If we've got a big Champions League game coming up away from home, then I would bring the likes of Angel Gomez into the Premier League game that weekend before, so that a lot of more first team players are rested up for the game in the Champions League. Because that's if the Champions League spots are sewn up. If Manchester United can't finish worse than third, if the gap's just too big between second and fourth, then and second and fifth, and Manchester United second, then that's what I would do. I wouldn't obviously bring youngsters into the Premier League games if our top four is in jeopardy, but that would be the best bet, because Manchester United really need to be trying to get some form of silverware this season. Every season, I think if you can get one trophy and finish in the top four, I personally think that is a successful season. I mean, you can't always go out there and win the Premier League. If you're really off the pace, you're doing horseshit in the league, and you finish fourth and win the FA Cup, it might not seem a great season, but it's still a decent season. You can't all win the Premier League, you can't all win the Champions League. Sometimes you've got to take a couple of seasons where you win FA Cups and stuff. And Jose Mourinho so far won 2 trophies, so that's still a decent haul for Manchester United so far. If we can add an FA Cup to that, that would be fantastic. And then kick on and try and challenge a bit more for the Premier League this season. We are the closest challengers to Manchester City. It's just that they've been phenomenal. Manchester United are only probably 4 or 5 points away from potentially being close to the normal. In a normal season, it would only be maybe 5 or 6 points off the title right now. So, and that would still be doable. You could still make that up. But at this present, obviously, the gap is so big because Manchester City have won nearly every game. But I think that Manchester United are going to get the job done in this game. I hope so anyway. Rotate them few, maybe 1 or 2 players in this one. Obviously, Matic getting a rest would be the ideal for Manchester United. That's the main one. But we don't really need to rest too many players with that game against Stoke coming up a week on Monday. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the game and Manchester United at this moment in time. I think Manchester United are going to get the job done. I'm going to say Manchester United win this game 2-0. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll talk to you all again soon. See ya.